But what are your thoughts, Pete, in regards to like how it's changed? Because it obviously certainly has, and I don't think it's all negative. But I think it is
Yeah.
different, and I think it is something that people want to hear your thoughts on. So
Well, as far as we want to talk like NIL and that stuff, like
well,
the mindset within it, because being around it.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think you should start like high level, like
Yeah.
the coaching approach in general has
Yes.
changed drastically. Like
Yeah.
changed drastically. Like
Yeah.
you're just not going to lean into a player like the movie Whiplash, right? And by the way,
No.
I had Coach Cullen on last week.
You did?
Yeah,
I saw the title, the get off session.
yeah, it's coming. It's coming. So,
Yeah.
I mean, he was great. I mean, there were a few
Yeah.
things that I kind of wanted to ask, but I referenced, the movie Whiplash, of course, right?
Yeah. 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 Uh-huh.
So I said, Coach, there's a movie called Whiplash, and there's a scene where the teacher pushes the kid so hard, he almost kills him and he almost breaks. And then there's another scene later in the movie where they're in the cafe.
Yep.
Remember that in the diner and they're having a meal, like they run into each other, and he said, "You don't understand what I was trying to do with you. I was trying to push you to be your best." And the kid says, "But what if you push someone too hard where they break and they never end up being the best?" And the teacher says, "You don't get it. The best would never give up or break." And I asked Coach Cullen, "What are your thoughts on that?" And he said, I believe that it takes something extraordinary to become the best, and it's not exactly normal. And you have to be able to go through things. That doesn't mean you can handle them and you're perfect. It means that if you have a breakdown, you still bounce back.
Yes.
That's what he was saying. And Coach Cullen believed that. Like, what are your thoughts on that mentality? Because it doesn't happen anymore, Pete.
No. Well, what happens now, and I'm a decent guy to talk to about this because of all the college basketball I do. You go to shoot arounds or practice the day before, and you have like 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, or maybe 5. If it's a coach that has somewhere they need to go, but it'll be you, the analyst, myself calling the games play by play, the analyst, usually a former player or a coach, and the coach, right, the head coach of the team, and they'll talk to you about what's going on, and a lot of times. I'm very grateful for those opportunities because it becomes almost like a therapy session because, you'll be talking to, let's say, a Big 12 coach, and he'll talk to you about, man, I've noticed this, right? These coaches are who they are. So they're not going to change that. Right. But it is demoralizing for some of these coaches to treat a player today, let's say John Smith, the way that they treated Mark Megna. Because John Smith is going to respond much differently, and his response may be, you know what? I'm leaving. I'm going to another school.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't want to take this crap. I can go somewhere else where I might play more. I might get paid the same amount of money. And the unfortunate part of that is I think to a man we all believe, and someday these young players will understand this too, is that doesn't really – there's certain instances, right, where you want the players to have freedom of movement, to be able to change schools and be in a situation that fits them better and behooves them and their family in the best way possible, right? Because circumstances, you certainly could have used a little bit more than the Pell Grant they were giving you, when you were at Richmond, right? Your family could have used that.
Oh, yeah.
And so nowadays I understand the players trying to find the best deal. At the same time, to what end? Because they're not learning as people what failure and rejection looks like. And so on some level, you have coaches that are like, you know what? I don't care. Like, I'm going to and this is a make or break moment for a lot of coaches in college sports today.
Yeah.
Because I'm very interested to see, for an example, a Bill Self, right? Now, Bill Self this past year, there's a lot of times where in big-time college basketball, let's say 5 years ago, I'm recruiting you, Mark Megna, since you're in 7th grade, right? You know me, your parents know me. You choose to come to school to play for me, right? There is that deep connection we have. And an argument or me telling you did something wrong and taking you to task and holding you accountable is not going to blow up our relationship because we go back, right? Well, now you've got guys who you're literally the transfer portal opens and you're trusting your assistants and middle people who are supposedly know these guys and their families, but really don't, right? No knock on the families or the kids themselves. So now you get intel like, well, this is a guy, he's a 5-star player, and he fits your system. You'll love him, coach. Well, I'm not saying that's exactly how it goes, but everything is moving so fast that they're taking on these players who they don't know anything about. Right. So now it's January, and you're in a Big 12, like literally bloodbath against Houston at home in Allen Fieldhouse, a double overtime game. And you've got guys who, like, you look in their eyes, and I believe some of these coaches are like, I don't know this dude at all, and I'm looking at you in the huddle, and I need you to dig down. And it's like, and it's not like I'm getting to know this guy. It's like, I don't know this guy, and he's going to be gone in 2 more months. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a weird spot for a lot of people to be in. Yeah. And I'm very interested to see. I know there's a lot of coaches who are, also frustrated with the lack of honesty that's going on, right? Because if Mark Megna, and I learned this again working for ESPN, because you do have, I didn't play small forward for Michigan. Like, that's not why I'm in the room. I'm in the room because I call games for ESPN, and I've been granted this access that I am so grateful for, right? But it's also access I'm familiar with from being around guys like you and college football and pro sports, working in the NBA, doing PR. So I kind of know how to act. But you're party to these conversations where I get these honest truths from coaches. Like, there are middlemen, and you're familiar with this from being a player, like a guy who will come to a school and say, hey, Mark Megna is looking like to get away from Alabama, and he'll probably come to your school for like $2 million. And they'll be like, well, we can give him like $1 million, but whatever. So then you'll go back, the middleman will go back to Mark Megna and say, I can get you $2 million at Alabama if you'll leave Georgia. So you're like, you know what? I'm going to leave Georgia. I'm going to go over here. Yeah. And then we'll go back to Alabama and say, okay, we're ready for the $2 million deal. And they'll be like, what are you talking about? We never told anybody that you would get $2 million. We told your representative we would give you $1 million, right? But so there's a lot of that going on, and it used to go on strictly with like agents and teams, right? Like an agent would sign you saying, I can get you taken in the 6th round.
Oh yeah, for sure.
At all. Yeah, but now it's happening on the amateur level, on the college level, and there's no policing to it. At least in NFL agents, like, there's a certification process, and once in a while you get a wild card who wasn't certified. But now it's like, that's all you have. Mm-hmm. So I think that there's so much at play here. The best players, I'm a needy guy. The best players the best coaches are going to stick and stay true to themselves. Mm-hmm. And I think that this thing will be what it is. But I think there's a lot of like uncomfortable change that's going on for some of these coaches.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, like, it's hard to know when you say you're in that game, you're in a bloodbath. How do you connect with a dude who you spent very little time with? Like, you don't know, I got to support this guy. Like, there are people that I've worked with that want to be pushed and want to be pushed really hard. And then there are other people like, no, man, please don't do that to me. I will fold. Yeah. They'll tell me. But that communication, that happened over years.
Yes.
And now it's like, as you said, they just bounce. The problem is, like, it goes back to that movie. This kid became one of the greatest drummers, right? You led to believe maybe one of the greatest drummers of all time. But how do you get some? You saw Joe Cullen push people to a place that listen, there was hard coaching everywhere.
Yeah.
I firmly believe that was very unique and different than most.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I think it was a lot different. And I think that you could say, oh, it wouldn't, they wouldn't go for it today. I know that, no pressure, no diamonds. I mean, like, truly, like, I think that I would take I went to Richmond to play. I had a heart problem, couldn't play. They kept me on scholarship. You know the story. Maybe, a lot of your people listening don't know, but that's the story. I stayed affiliated with the football team. That little bit of relationship I had with Coach Cullen still in my life made me such a better man, right? The structure that was brought on by that football team, that program, that structure that I hated, I had great disdain for, right?
Yeah.
That I look back now and with the warmest, like it's the connection I share with you as a brother. It's like there's stuff that I had no clue I was in the middle of this magical season of my life and I hated it.
Oh, I
I
mean,
mean, it's
you
like,
hate you hated it, and maybe you. By the way, it was extraordinary to have you as a brother there, and it, like there's so many special, fulfilling, foundational moments of life that we all shared. We shared. Maybe if it got too hard and you said you hated it, maybe you try to get out of things.
yeah,
Maybe you didn't receive all the development. Maybe you push back on it and you don't realize that all the things that you hate, and in that moment you are certain you don't need it. What did it do for you today? As you just said.
dude, it taught me, it literally taught, first of all, it taught me how to fail. It taught me, like, even before I got sober, I was never really afraid of moments that were like nightmare scenarios. I always felt like I could get out of it or move through it. And I think that experience had a lot to do with it, you know, having to be places and do things I did not want to do that other people in the college I went to were not subject to doing, right? Like there was a group of people who I considered were living free, you know, like regular students.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's so much different being affiliated with the football program like that. And that goes back to our point earlier about the athlete of today. You know, I'm not saying that we need to have like this incredible boundary for young athlete or boundaries and walls built up for these incredible athletes to flourish. But I do believe, and I'm not the guy with the answer, but I do believe that they're missing out on a lot of the special sauce, right? A lot of what you're talking about with Coach Cullen, you know, what you went through to become a guy who ended up playing in the NFL, you know, a guy who you're like a 0-star prospect, right? Who ends up playing in the NFL. Like that's unheard of, but that's the type of process that a coach like Coach Cullen would put you through, right? That grueling process that would almost break you and maybe did.
Yeah.
Times, right?
I think it broke
so these
many
guys
times
now
over.
they're denying themselves those opportunities, and it's like it's kind of a bummer. Like, just and we say this in AA, dude. Come all the way in, sit all the way down, and stay. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't gonna be easy, but if you sit down and you lock in, you know, and you give us 90 days, we will refund you your misery, dude. You can go back out and do whatever the hell you want to do. And I think that even during a football season or a basketball season or a long marathon, you notice that over certain points in time, maybe it's 90 days, maybe it's, you know, 6 months being on campus and being part of the football team, but you do get those shots, right? Like whether you make a big play behind the line of scrimmage and you're like, boom, now this is why I'm doing all this work. You know, it happens along the way. It's not like this journey filled with darkness, right?
Right.
Like you have that huge win at Rhode Island and you're like, oh, this is what all this is for.
That's
Now I get it, you know? And so those moments, right? Because you talk about self-esteem. How do you get self-esteem? Well, you do esteemable stuff. So that's builds that real. And for me, early in life, right, I got so sidetracked with my alcoholism and addiction, but like, you know, you search that substance or something outside that makes you feel like this, you know, like those moments we're talking about on the football field or having success as a team. Like those are not like specific to substance. Like you can feel those magical moments and those highs through doing the right things in life, going through terribly difficult situations and coming out on the other side, whether that's in the playing field of life or whether it's on the football field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think factors that play heavy on that is we have people that absolutely care about us in our lives and they will tell us things, meaning like, remember A Bronx Tale? And he says, Mickey Mantle, I can't believe he made Mickey Mantle cry. And he goes, Mickey Mantle. He goes, you think Mickey Mantle cares about you?
Yep.
Like, meaning you think Mickey Mantle's going to pay your bills when your father can't pay the rent?
Yeah.
Like we have like people in our lives that really believe that they not only they care about us, and they probably do, but they know what's best for us.
Yes.
So they're going to get in people's ear and they're going to say, hey, this is what you need to do. And this is the most important thing. And then when it doesn't go well and you turn to them, they don't even return your call. And like you get people that would tell student athletes, like, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. And you go, wait a minute, are you kicking butt in the lifts? Are you, killing it on the track? Are you killing yourself in match drills? Are you killing yourself in the practice? Are you doing everything you're supposed to be doing? And the answer is no, 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 no. So how can they give you advice based on a story that isn't even real?
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's not
Yeah.
even a real story, right? There's four sides to a story: your side, my side, the side that really happened, and the side of an onlooker, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I think that people have to be mindful of, like, what do I want? What's the real story? How can I be better? And then what it goes into, Pete, is like, I need to understand that it's going to suck. It's going to be hard. And I can't just tap out and bow out every time it gets hard. Because what you said before, how people say you should be more confident, have confidence. I mean, that's foolish to say have confidence. You can't tell someone to have confidence. It needs to be built. And the way it's built is from doing little things that get progressively bigger, more important, more challenging, and you follow through on them and you complete them. If it's like, I got to show up to this, I don't show up, confidence drops.
Yep.
If I don't finish my run, confidence drops. If I don't do my off-season workouts, confidence drops. How can you compete against someone whose confidence is through the roof because they crushed every single workout and they're doing everything they're supposed to do?
Yeah.
But then you have someone in your ear saying, you don't get to do that. That's not important. They don't understand what's important. You know what's best for you. And if you can't have honest conversations with yourself of what you actually need, which is to commit to something, anything, and follow through, then you're delusional. You're just going to take whatever mediocre attitude you have and just bring that to the next thing. And it's hard to tell people that because they don't want to accept that. It's, no, you're wrong. This is better. And it's like, well, I'm not trying to be right. I'm just telling you, all I know is that I'm watching your behavior and I saw you quit on 4 different things.
Yep. Yeah.
And
you're just beating them to the punch, because the truth is, again, this is a little bit more dramatic, but it's like, you're not punished for your sins. You're punished by your sins. And like you carry those shortcuts around with you. Nobody else does.
Oh yeah.
You do. So to have somebody around that can kind of, you're going to figure it. If you're going to do it your way, you're going to find out the hard way, like what the right way is. And hopefully you'll find out before it's too late. That's what happened to me. You know?
Yeah. And I know it's the big picture of this topic is, if Joe Cullen doesn't push myself and a few other guys the same way, do you think they become whatever they become?
No.
I mean,
I think
seriously,
no, there's no chance. I think honestly, in today's basketball, like Joanne Roberts played for Houston, and I had a chance to watch a lot of Houston and talk to Kelvin Sampson a lot. Nobody played more games in the history of Houston. Nobody won more games in the history of Houston than Joanne Roberts did. That's like a unicorn today. He got to Houston at 6'6", 195. The dude now is like 6'8", 240, right?
Wow.
He should get drafted. And if he doesn't, he'll make training camp and play for a team.
Right.
I swear this dude is like the last of the Mark Magnus, right? Like Kelvin Sampson built this guy into an absolute dog, right? And he is going to reap the benefits from it. He already has, like on the floor and stuff. What it's done for his soul and as a person, it's unmatched, I'm sure, in his mind. And we're about to see it now, like financially and that stuff pay off. But there is a certain, I hope, and I think we do kind of overrate the movement, right? There are still a lot of dogs left there.
Oh yeah.
Out there who want to be coached, right? Who want to be run into the ground, right? Who want the hard coaching. But I think there's just way too many back doors now that people can go through to get out of situations with the guys like Coach Cullen, who are building a masterpiece, and I could see that in you. Like, I knew that what Coach Cullen was doing was crazy, but like at the same time, your play on the field was undeniable. You were a very good example. And for people that don't know, and Mark, you can just hang in here and take these compliments. Like it was like literally a masterclass in how to play defense and defensive line every day for you. You didn't stop. You did not stop going 150 miles per hour, much to the chagrin of members of the scout team. And like that, I mean, but that's how you only knew that one speed, and that brought you to the most elite level there is in football, you know, and you held a spot there for a while.
Yeah.
And that is all about, you know, that relationship with Coach Cohen and being, you know, in that whirlpool, right?
Yeah.
For all those years. And you dominated. Like, it's not like it was this crazy weird thing going on over here. Coach Cohen's yelling at you, and then you're going out and you're like, this also ran. And no, you were dominant. And I think that and so that goes into some of the coaching, right? Like, you find your subjects, right? Like, he wasn't spending that time with Seth Watson, brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, no knock on Seth. I just think Seth had different plans.
Shout out to Seth. Yeah.